Welcome to day 2 of the Refresh and Renew Summit by Soul Heart Collaboration. I am your hostess, Jamie Allen Bishop, and I am here to welcome our next speaker. Andi Hess is an award-winning certified hypnotherapist, rapid results coach, and international speaker. With over 20 years of experience as a productivity consultant, corporate trainer, and organizational leadership professor, she has been featured on stages across the world. After checking off her entire bucket list by the age of 37, Andi developed her signature breakthrough roadmap formula for achieving anything you want. Inspired by the belief that everyone already has within them everything they need, Andi is dedicated to helping women remix their lives and achieve the extraordinary. Please help me welcome Andi Hess.
Hi, welcome to the Breakthrough Roadmap. My name is Andi Hess, and today I'm going to teach you my 3 simple steps to get rapid results. If you don't have the results you want in your life, you're missing one of these 3 steps. I guarantee it. And I'm going to teach them to you today. You'll have everything you need to make a huge breakthrough in whatever area of your life you are most interested in breaking through right now. So, just a quick note about me. I am a certified hypnotherapist and rapid results coach. I have about 35 years of experience as a productivity consultant with Franklin Covey, regional trainer for a lot of retail organizations, and then as an organizational leadership professor before I started my business as a hypnotherapist and coach. So, welcome to our journey today. Let's get started. So I want you to take a moment to just take a deep breath. We don't do this enough, but just a nice in and out, come into your body, ground yourself. If you're trying to learn something, you need to be in rest and digest mode. Your body cannot send the energy that it needs to into your brain if you're in fight flight. So we want to take a moment to arrive here in the space, and I'd like you to set an intention. When you leave at the end of this, what do you want to have learned? What do you want to have experienced? How do you want to feel? I just want you to take a minute and set that intention. Very good. All right. This sets you up to have the best experience possible and to take the most out of this experience today. You're spending your time with me, so might as well make it worth it, right? My intention today is that I want to teach you these 3 simple steps, but I also want you to recognize that you're already doing them somewhere in your life, right? So we're all kind of naturally good at managing one area of our life, or maybe we're not naturally good at it, but we figured it out. Maybe you're doing great in relationships right now, but not in finances, or vice versa. Maybe you have a fantastic career, but your relationships are starting to suffer. So, one of the things I want you to know as you watch this presentation and as you learn these steps is that actually what I'm teaching you is just the putting into words what you already actually do in a different area of your life and teaching you how to use it in another area so that you can take what you know works and go through and use it in an area that needs some help. So let's take a road trip. Move myself up here for this. I want you to imagine you're going to take a road trip with me. Now, back in the days of MapQuest and things like that, right? You had to know 2 things before you started your road trip. And the first one, pretty easy. We still have to put it in when we are programming our own GPS. And that is a destination, right? We need to pick where we're going. But what you also may forget is that we used to actually have to put in where we're starting as well. Your GPS needs to know both of those things. in order to get you somewhere. And we don't take enough time to do both of these things, right? So today for our road trip, we're going to have our destination set as New York City, and we are starting in LA, right? We're going to drive across the country. We're going to take a road trip today. The first thing I want you to know, move myself back down here now, is that you need to know what you actually want. So I want you to look at this dog, okay? This dog, he wants this bone. He has no question in his mind. He is not distracted by his other toys, by his food in his dish. He's not probably even distracted by like lovey puppy snuggles, right? Look at that look in his eye. He knows for sure that he wants this bone. Now, that might be obvious to you, but I want you to ask yourself how often you don't acknowledge what it is that you actually want. And I mean what you actually want. So, not what you don't want. How many times has that happened where you're like, what do you want out of this? Well, I just don't want that, right? What do you want? Well, I just don't want to be poor. What do you want? Well, I just don't want to be fat. What do you want? Well, I just don't want to be hungry. Whatever it is, right? We tend not to set an actual destination. I heard somebody talk about this the other day. This would be like going to the restaurant and the waiter comes up to you and asks, "What do you want?" And you just say, "Well, I don't want tacos." Okay, so what do you want? There's plenty of other things on the menu. And she was talking actually about how this makes it so much more likely you're going to get tacos because after the waiter takes 5 more orders and goes back to the back of the kitchen, right? He's going to be like, "What did they want? I don't remember. Something about tacos. Oh, I guess it was tacos," right? Because you said that. So, not what you don't want, not what your parents told you to want, not what you think you should want, not what someone told you. I've heard this over and over and over again with entrepreneurs. Well, I want a successful business. And so someone told me I need to spend 2 hours a day on social media. Do I want to spend 2 hours a day on social media? Absolutely not. But that's what they told me I should do. So now that's what I want. Can you help me spend 2 hours a day on social media? It's like, well, that's not actually what you want. So I want you to be honest with yourself about what it is you actually want. Like when you close your eyes and go into your dream life, right? What is there? What is it for you? So if your mother told you that in order to be, successful, you had to become a nurse and you're sitting in a nursing career that you absolutely hate because your passion lies somewhere else, have you admitted that to yourself? I also want to mention the other thing a lot of us do is water it down, right? So, how often have you said, "Well, I don't need all of that, I just need enough"? The problem with watered down dreams is that you get a watered down life. Your subconscious cannot act on something it knows you don't want. So, if you are trying to tell yourself, "I want salad," but you really want cookies, your subconscious is like, "I don't get it. You're sending me mixed messages. Do you want cookies on your salad?" I don't know what to do with that. So it's really, really, really important that for the very first step that you accurately and honestly set your GPS, that you own what it is that you actually want and you allow yourself to want it. So often we feel like wanting something is selfish, but the truth is that number one, there's no private good. What is good for you is good for everyone around you. And number two, um, anything that you actually do want, those desires were given to you. That is the curriculum of your life. And it's not often about the thing that you think you want. It's actually usually about how that thing will grow you. So if you go into your, say, hypnosis and you're doing a vision and a Lamborghini is in the scene and you're like, "I don't want a Lamborghini. I wouldn't even drive that car," right? I'm going to suggest that it's not the Lamborghini that is actually the important part of that. It is who you would have to become in order to walk into a Lamborghini dealership and buy one. It's who you'd have to become to drive around in it and have that kind of attention. Would you be comfortable with that? If not, and it's part of your dream, right? This is where it comes into actually owning what your wishes are. Then there's a reason that you want that thing. And it's really important. So I want you to keep in mind the dog with this bone. That's how crystal clear I want you to be about what it is that you want. Okay, that's step one. Step two, I call it pick your playlist, right? You're gonna be in the car for a really long time and you can completely set the tone for the adventure by what you choose to listen to. So in this case, I'm actually really talking about the thoughts in your head, right? I'm a hypnotherapist, so I do subconscious reprogramming, and I'm talking about the thoughts in your head. You are literally a tuner. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. You might have heard about this before. You might have heard about something called the reticular activating system. It decides what is important to pay attention to based on what you tell it to pay attention to. So maybe you've had the experience where you are shopping for a new car and you finally settle on a red Toyota Camry, and then you get back on the road and suddenly every single car is a Toyota Camry, right? There were plenty of them on the road before. They were always there. You just didn't notice them because that's not what your tuner was set to. You cannot hear what's playing on 95.5 if you're set to 92.3, right? You can only perceive in your environment what it is you're actively looking for. It's part of why step one is so important, right? We need to know what we're looking for. And then you're going to give your brain the thoughts, the attention, the information that it needs in order to tune into that channel to find what you already want existing in your environment. If you're looking for a soulmate, it's not like you're asking someone to grow them in a petri dish for you. Like they already exist in the world. Same thing with anything else you want, your dream house. It already exists, or the building materials for it do, if it's a new build, for example, or the abundance and the money that you want, like that. You're not asking someone to mine it out of a brand new like gold mine for you. These things already exist in life, and you just simply want to be able to find them in your environment. That's your only job, is to open yourself to the opportunities that are already around you. And you do that by picking your playlist. You do that by adjusting the thoughts that are running through your head. And this is easier than it sounds. If you're the kind of person who maybe affirmations and things like that haven't worked for you before, I have news for you. It's actually because there's two different types of subconscious minds. So one type, you know, you can literally just repeat, I love my body over and over and over again. And eventually the subconscious mind goes, I guess I love my body. But the other type, you repeat, I love my body over again. And it goes, screw you. No, you don't. And it puts up resistance. And if that's you, there is an entirely different type of affirmation and way that you can talk to yourself to make that work for you. You are not broken. It's not your fault. There's about 50% of people on this planet who cannot do the direct style affirmation. And so you do something a little bit more indirect, something like, in the case of I love my body, something more like, all bodies are different. And if you are that kind of person, you probably just felt that there's no resistance that comes up to that, right? And so maybe you start with all bodies are different, and then eventually you get to move up what to all bodies are different and that's okay. Or all bodies are great. All bodies are perfect exactly as they are, right? You begin to move into something that is not as resistance building. We can talk plenty more about that at any point. But I want you to understand that what you pay attention to, not in a toxic positivity way. I'm not saying we can't still have emotions, but we do need to pick what our Toyota Camry is. And so I'd like to ask you, what patterns are you running right now? And you can tell by what's showing up in your life, right? Because if Toyota Camrys are showing up on everywhere in your life, it's because you've decided to look for Toyota Camrys. Same thing for whatever else you are looking for. And then you can ask yourself, what would you rather see? So here's a quick actionable tip on that. Collect those things you'd rather see. Take the time to train your reticular activating system to work for you. If you are looking for love, say you're still dating and looking for that soulmate, where are you experiencing love in your life right now? It might not be the extent that you want it to be. It might not be as intimate as you want it to be, but it's there. And the more you look for that feeling of, oh, this made me feel loved. So and so called me today and mentioned that they were thinking about me, and that made me feel really appreciated. Yes, this and more, please. Yes, this and more, please. If you're looking for money, do you stop and pick up the quarters you find on the floor? Dollars are made of quarters. Yes, this and more, please. So begin to train your nervous system, your reticular activating system, to find what you want in your environment. Find it everywhere you can, and you'll see it begin to aggregate and pick up. Now, we've set our destination, we've set our start, right? We're on our road trip. Here's the hardest part. Maybe you have heard that you are now supposed to want something, but not actually want it, otherwise known as surrender the how, right? I call this step 3, follow the signs. And here's what I mean by that. We're on a road trip, right? We are going from LA to New York. And a lot of you might be the kind of people who feel like you cannot start until you can see the entire path, right? I hear this all the time. Well, I don't know how I'm going to get there, so I can't start yet. It's not how it works. What you're trying to do in that case is plan for the accident before it's happened, right? So, for example, if you are going to drive to work tomorrow and you know you're taking a route that normally has an accident, you might be able to leave yourself some extra time in case there's an accident. But you wouldn't be able to say, oh, well, there's going to be an accident on this street and this street, so I'm going to take a detour and go around there because the accident hasn't happened yet, right? You would never try to plan for the accident. And what happens, well, you could plan, like I said, that extra time, but not the exact like coordinates, right? You have this route, you have a GPS, and you know you can reroute if you need to. But a lot of people in their goals in their daily life end up doing something that is basically the same as saying, oh no, in Oklahoma, there was a road closure and I had to take a complete detour down a different path. And now I'm all pissed off that I was planning on driving this road, right? So the particular deal you were working on didn't work out, or the date that you went on didn't work out, or something like that, right? And all of a sudden you get really mad that this one thing that you thought was going to be it, that thought you thought was going to be your path, is actually not going to be your path. And this happens because we have these goals, right? We program our GPS and we set our goals. And then we decide how we're going to get there and forget that the point is actually to get to New York. The point isn't to take that road in Oklahoma. The point is to get to New York. It doesn't matter if I have to reroute. So if your goal is something like love, freedom, peace, happiness, things like that, right? There's probably a million different paths you could take. And if you get detoured down one path or another, if you're holding on to the path that you set out for yourself, you'll get very frustrated. But if you are able to simply follow the signs, simply know you are a competent adult, and if there's an accident, there'll be signs on the road, there'll be, flags, or there's detours, there are signs, things like that. You will be able to find those signs, read them, figure them out, and make your way back to your path. This is basically like saying, I can't see the turns in New York. I'm not going to start until I can physically see the turns in New York. But you have a view like this, right? We're starting in LA. You can barely see the next turn. I can't even really identify where the next street you turn on is in here. But I definitely can't see 2 turns ahead or 5 turns ahead or the turns in New York. And so if I decided that I wasn't going to even start the road trip until I could see all of the turns, it would be impossible. You wouldn't say, well, I'll start going to the gym when I have abs, right? That's not going to help very much. You need to go to the gym to get the abs. You need to start the drive in order to find the turn, right? And this is really important because what's going to happen is when you get to New York, you're going to have this view. You're going to be able to see the turns in New York because you'll be there. It's basically like saying, before I can leave on this road trip, I have to map out every single place I will stop to pee. When you know, as soon as I say that, you know that if you bother to do that, you're not going to need to pee wherever it is you picked. You're going to need to pee somewhere else. And probably the ones that you picked, they're going to be closed. It's going to be dirty. Like, you're going to have a better experience if you simply believe, again, you're a competent adult. And when you get there, you will know exactly where and how to find a bathroom. When you have to go to the bathroom, you'll be able to find something on the road, right? Which leads me to my favorite quote ever, ever, ever. A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because its trust is not on the branch, it's on its own wings. Most of us are sitting on the branch looking around going, uh-oh, was that a creak? Was that a creak? Is it breaking? I don't know. Is it breaking? Instead of just enjoying the branch and realizing that if the branch breaks, we're going to fly, right? The person who I will need to be when the branch breaks is going to be there and know how to deal with it. Your brain does not know the difference between something you actually experience and something you imagine experiencing vividly enough. I've done research. If you imagine often enough and vividly enough working out, your muscles get toned. Olympic athletes know this, right? You instinctively know that an Olympic athlete would never actually make it that far. They would never make it to the Olympics without mental rehearsal. That's what we call mental rehearsal. They visualize themselves doing their thing on the court a million times more than they actually do it in real life. And you can use that same thing. You can use mental rehearsal to make things familiar to your subconscious mind. But right now, you're using mental rehearsal to torture yourself. You're literally forcing yourself to go through the branch breaking out from underneath you every single second of every single day. And I don't know about you, but if it happens, I'd actually only rather experience it once and only when it's real. So I want you to think about this idea of the potty break. Like, where are you trying to plan out your potty breaks on a goal that's 5 years out, 10 years out, even 1 year out, even tomorrow? My brain can't handle the idea. If I'm trying to set a habit, for example, of walking my dogs every day, I can't ask my brain, can I walk the dogs every day? It doesn't have the information that it needs to know how to answer that. It is going to hang on that and get stuck. I don't know if it's going to rain tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to be sick tomorrow. I don't know. Like, I can't even answer that for tomorrow, let alone every day in the future. The only question that makes sense to my brain is, can I walk the dogs right now? And the answer to that is a very obvious no. Why? Because I'm here doing this. It's not possible for me to walk the dogs right now. In a couple hours, I could ask myself that again, and maybe I'll be in a different scenario. But that's the only question I can ask myself that my brain can make sense of. Can I do it right now? And so I can set that goal. I can set that New York destination, right? I can set that vision in my head. But then all I can do is take the next step and the next step after that. And I can have a basic plan, but I can't map out where all the detours are going to be. I can't map out where all the potty breaks are going to be. And I think if you look back in your life and think about the things that were the most exciting and transformational things that ever happened to you, you will be able to realize that you couldn't have possibly planned them. The people that you'd meet, the experiences you'd get to have, all the best of them were things that happened unexpectedly. And so open yourself up to enjoy them. Open yourself up to be present, to know that you are able to handle decisions as they come. And then you're able to surrender the how, right? So that's step 3, is follow the signs. The person that you are today cannot know how to get there. You're not supposed to know how. You haven't done it yet. So allow yourself to know that you haven't done it. And that's the point. All right. We're going to do a little bit of a demo. So if you'd like to play along with me, go ahead and close your eyes. If you're driving, obviously don't do this right now. But I'd like you to have an experience that's actually going to help you transform today. So I'll guide you through this now. Go ahead and take a nice deep breath and allow yourself to begin to get comfortable. And as you release it all the way out, I want you to feel yourself supported by the surface beneath you and allow your breath to return to its normal, natural rhythm. And here I'll invite you to just begin to follow it. My favorite way to follow the breath is to imagine that you can see a single molecule of oxygen as it enters your nostrils, goes down into your lungs, enters your bloodstream. Maybe you can even see it be sent around to a single cell, recharging that cell like a little battery. And then start again. If you're actually following the breath, then you are instantly brought into the present moment because there is no past breath, there is no future breath. There's only this breath right here, right now. So you can allow yourself to begin to soften. You don't need to try to relax. You can just simply notice that it's something your body knows how to do anyway. And when you're ready, let's go ahead and take another nice deep breath in. Release it all the way out, just beginning to really let go. Now, once you feel settled, I'll invite you to imagine that you can see standing a ways in front of you a future version of yourself. This version has accomplished everything you'd like to accomplish. They've already done all the things they have, what you want. They're living the life of your dreams. And so the first thing I'd like you to do is just watch them. And I want you to notice what there is to notice about this version of yourself. In particular, what is the physical evidence that they've done this thing, all the things that you want to accomplish? Maybe it's in the way they stand, the way they hold themselves, the way they breathe. Maybe it's in the clothes they're wearing, a particular posture. Whatever it is for you, just notice. How can you tell that this is a future version of you? When you feel like that is crystal clear, I want you to go ahead now and imagine that you can step into this version of yourself. So you're literally allowing the chemistry of this version of yourself to wash over every cell in your body, breathing it into every cell in your body. Looking down at your own 2 feet, seeing yourself. And I want you to notice where in your body something shifted as you step into this. Where do you feel this future version of yourself in you now? What is the difference? What changed? Perhaps you straightened up and you felt it in your spine. Maybe it's a sense of ease in your stomach. Whatever it is for you is right and correct. So just notice it. Take a few extra moments here to really anchor in this version of your being. For this version of you, it's all already worked out. There are no questions, no worries. And when you're ready, I'd like you to go ahead and drop the image, but hold the sensation in your body. The sensation that tells you you are living your dream life. And again, out in front of you now, I want you to project a particular experience. Perhaps it is something that yesterday would have thrown you off. something maybe you weren't looking forward to doing, a situation that maybe would trigger you, or some task that you would put off. And I want you to imagine walking through this scenario now as this version of you, the version who knows there's nothing to worry about because it's all already worked out. Go ahead and play this image, this video in your mind a couple times through. If you'd like, you can even ask your future self, what would need to be true? What do I need to know or believe or think in order to make this version of my life easy? What would make it easy? It's already effortless for them because they've gotten it. So they know exactly how they got it. Now, once again, go ahead and allow the images to fade. But anchor this experience in your body, this future version of you. They know the answer, they know the choice. They know exactly the steps that you need to take to get where you want to go. And so every time you ask this future version of you to make a decision, and you follow that awareness, you move closer and closer to that life. Every time you make a choice that feels different than this sensation in your body, that feels unaligned or incongruent, it moves you further away from this. And so this is a decision-making tool that you have now. And you can feel free to come back to this visualization anytime you need in order to strengthen the sensation or to get a new version of your vision as you move towards the one that you saw today. And so when you're ready, let's take a nice deep breath and allow everything to sink deep down into all the just right places in the subconscious mind to serve as your roadmap for the future. And then we'll shut the door to the subconscious mind first at 0. At 1, beginning to bring your awareness back into the room where you're sitting. 2, inviting the energy to flow back into your physical body, feeling it coming into your fingers and your toes. 3 is a nice deep cleansing breath, a beautiful sensation of complete well-being. At 4, eyelids beginning to flutter. And at 5, eyes open, wide awake, and back to full awakening consciousness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes open, wide awake, and back to full awakening consciousness. Welcome back. I hope you got something really transformational from that, really useful. And as we come back into this, if you didn't, don't worry about it. You can revisit that recording whenever you'd like. And know that more can be percolating as you move through your day, as you move through your week. It's not just about what happens in the moment. And that was only a couple minutes anyway. So go easy on yourself. You don't need to force something to happen. That's one of the reasons why I love hypnosis is that it's the laziest possible way to make change in your brain. So I hope you had a great experience with that. If you want to go back and redo it again, please feel free. But let's do a quick recap of everything we have talked about so far. So, step one, program your GPS. Be honest with yourself about what you actually want. What is really actually truly yours to want and yours to experience, not what you think you should want, not what you think you don't want. Take some time. Actually start writing down. Even if you only have hints and whispers right now, begin to create that vision, that GPS destination for yourself. Step two, pick your playlist. Notice what those thoughts are in your head and begin to teach your reticular activating system to find what you want in the world. It's already out there. It's already out in your environment around you. What are the opportunities, ideas, thoughts, people, collaborations that you need that you can simply teach yourself, train yourself to access? If you bought a new computer and it didn't have Microsoft Word installed and you wanted to write a document, you wouldn't get mad at the computer. You'd install the right program. And that's what you need to do here. Obviously, hypnosis helps a lot with this, but you can do it simply by making an evidence log, collecting those pieces in your life where you're already experiencing everything you want to experience. And then finally, follow the signs. So make sure that you release that need to plan out every single step, to know in advance what things are going to be like when you've never experienced them before. And also make sure that you have that GPS crystal clear so that when you are on the road, you remember that it's actually not about which route you take, it's about where you end up. So if you get detoured, if you have to take a potty break, if there's a slight change in the how, in the path, that's no big deal, right? That's easy, effortless. You just adjust and keep going because your point isn't to take that exact route in Oklahoma. Your point is to get to New York. And when you keep your eye on that, everything else around you is just something for you to pay attention to, right? Something else for you to feedback, information for you to make a decision with. That decision is only what's your next step? What's the very next actual step you have to take? And that's it. Those are the three simple steps. And I know they are simple. I told you they're simple, but maybe not always easy. They take some practice. See where it is that you have already been doing these things in your life. Remember, my intention was to teach you the actual steps to something you're already doing. And notice you have a crystal clear picture of what it is you're trying to do in that particular area of your life where it's working. Maybe it's, your marriage and you know exactly what kind of marriage you want and you prioritize doing those things. It's easier to prioritize doing those things when you know what they are. More importantly, just notice where you're not. Notice where you don't have a vision. Notice where you don't have, the right playlist, the right thoughts going on, the right patterns. Notice that because sometimes all it takes is a few tweaks. I've had clients in my coaching program who have been with me for like years and they'll come in with a problem where they're stuck. And I'll ask them first, like, do you have a vision for that? And they'll be like, oh gosh, I forgot again. I forgot again. And then we do the vision and it's all solved. It's like, oh, well, that's what I want. And so this is the obvious answer. Sometimes it's a little deeper. Sometimes it's a little more of the follow the signs or, the step two or whatever, but it's always one of these three steps. I've seen hundreds of clients and I can promise you it always comes back to this. If you have any questions or anything else that you want to talk about, what I want to leave you with is the idea that you are not broken. You just don't have the user manual for your mind. That's it. You just need the user manual that is unique and correct for you and not for everybody else. So that's it. Just know that you're not broken. And if you'd like to talk more about any of that, you can feel free to contact me. Here are all of my socials and all of those things. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. And I hope that this was a great experience for you. See you later.